NBA Today, the weekend's biggest winners and losers from across the league. Who stood out and who needs to step it up? And we are running with the Bulls as they wrap up their LA swing. What's the key for Chicago to sweep Los Angeles? Plus, we get an update on LeBron James' health. And the latest power rankings are out, and there is a new #1. Find out who gets top billing. NBA Today starts right now. Welcome to NBA Today. I'm Malika Andrews, joined by senior writers, a pair of them, Ramon Melbourne and Zach Lowe. We got two in the building, and making his NBA Today debut, it is Matt Barnes. Matt, we like to get this show rolling by going coast to coast. Is that good with you?
Let's get it.
All right, let's do it. Let's get it. You sound like Perk. Let's start in the desert with the Suns. They won their NBA season-high 8th straight game yesterday in Houston. That's tied for the Suns' longest regular season win streak in the last 12 seasons. They also won 8 straight in the bubble. We know how that turned out. What do you like about the Suns right now, Matt?
I like that they're doing this without DeAndre Ayton. I think a lot of us last year thought it was a perfect storm. A lot of people got hurt. Maybe the Suns got lucky to make it as far as they have, but they're definitely stepping it up this year. CP's playing well, and JaVale McGee. Shout out JaVale McGee.
A little nutmeg. They're proving they're not a fluke. So return was the name of the game at Staples yesterday. Talen Horton-Tucker had 17 points in his season debut for the Lakers in their win over the Spurs. And in the nightcap, LA local DeMar DeRozan beat the Clippers. What do you like about this Bulls team right now, Zach?
Just the defense, honestly. They are in your face, in your jersey. Lonzo and Caruso is like a wrecking crew, a two-man wrecking crew. Really well-balanced team so far. I'm impressed.
You know who else is in your face? Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets won their 5th straight game against a Blazers team missing Damian Lillard with an abdominal injury. Denver has gotten it done on the defensive end, holding their opponents to under 100 points in all 5 games of that win streak. Ramona, what are you looking at with Denver?
Well, they're doing this without Michael Porter Jr., and we don't really have a great update on where his back situation is, but he's had 2 back surgeries in the past. Anytime you hear something like that he's out with a back injury,
right?
Scary. They're doing it without him. Look at Jokic, almost a triple-double in 3 quarters last night.
Scary. Well, the Nets are doing it without Kyrie. Despite a sore right shoulder, Kevin Durant scored 33 points to lead the Nets over the Thunder. Durant now has scored 32 points per game against OKC. That is the highest scoring average in NBA history by a player facing his former team. That's according to Elias. So clearly, he's taking this a little bit personally. Taking a look at some more notables from the weekend. The Wizards. Yes, the Wizards.
Right.
The Wizards. They've won 4 straight and now own the best record in the entire Eastern Conference.
Say that one more time.
The best record in the entire Eastern Conference, Matt Barnes.
Right.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, the Rockets, they lost their 11th straight game, the longest losing streak by any team this season. And DeAndre Hunter is out 8 weeks, unfortunately, after undergoing wrist surgery. Here is the weekend soundtrack.
Sacramento playing for the win. It's Dort picking the pocket of Fox. 3 on the timer. Dort steps in, lays it up and in with 1.7. Here's Trey. Starting to dance. Top of the key. Good!
I'm going to ask you one important question more than anything. I need a pair.
Oh, easy.
That's it.
Easy. I got a pair of yours. I got to get you a pair.
My guy.
I couldn't be more happier being in Chicago, honestly. So it works out 1,000% perfect when it needs to.
Stolen away ball. Steph Curry, eyes in the back of his head.
I love that Steph has to add some sauce to it.
He just went he didn't stop it.
That's not right. That's not. That guy didn't do anything to you.
Rubio directs traffic. Upstairs! Oh, Jersey! Let him know.
It's 2:46. My Packers are playing. We couldn't go into overtime. I didn't want to lose the game and be mad and not watch the Packers, so we had to hurry up and get it done.
Had to get it done. It was quite the weekend across the NBA, and we're going to be seeing that stuff pass like all season long, just on a loop. I can't get enough of it. So let's talk about some of the standouts from across the league, and let's go with the biggest winner first. And since Matt is new, who is your favorite winner, the biggest winner from this weekend?
I like the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
I mean, nothing special. I mean, they have 8 straight wins. They're doing it without DeAndre Ayton. Again, as I mentioned in the pre-show, a lot of people felt like they overachieved last year and they had a lot of luck. But they're stepping up and saying, you know, we belong here. Devin Booker continues to get better. CP is eating right, so he's still on his game. And again, I definitely want to shout out, JaVale McGee, someone who's been a great plug and play wherever he's been. Aiden's been out. JaVale stepped up and had a great game last game with a double-double. So happy to see him doing well, and happy to see the Phoenix Suns, proving their point in the Western Conference.
It's nothing special, or is it everything special? It's sort of
right.
like, all right, I kind of like it. Who are you liking from this weekend, Zach?
Charlotte Hornets got off to a rocking start. Everyone, Miles Bridges dunking, look at the Melo. Then they went west and they got spanked by everybody. And they came back with the 30th defense, the worst defense in the NBA. And they came back to some tests, right? New York at home. That's a tough test. That's like an Eastern Conference test. Golden State, 11-1, Steph Curry's hometown game. They win both of those games. They kind of stabilize. They'll go back over 500. That guy right there, who was one of the best clutch shooters in the league last year, Terry Rozier, starting to get going after injury. That was an important, you never know when these little early season stabilizers for these borderline playoff teams are going to be really important. It felt like Charlotte kind of stabilized their season.
Do you feel like you've seen enough of a sample size now to know what you're getting with Charlotte?
I want to see more from Rozier after missing all those games, but and the defense is just going to be wildly up and down. Can they get to 18th, 19th in defense? If so, I think they're going to be at least in the play-in.
Ramona, who's your biggest winner?
I'm going to go with Kyle Kuzma and the Washington Wizards.
Hey.
And you know what? It was a finishing kick here, or maybe a finishing tweet. Did y'all see this morning? Wizards won 4 in a row, okay? Kuz, who had played in Cleveland and hit the game winner, 2 back threes in the late game there. Look at that caption there. Won an NBA championship thanks to LeBron James. So Kuz sees this, claps back with, City of Cleveland, we have something in common. Nice to meet you, too. Okay, we'll just, there's only one O in that. But that's one of the best clapbacks I've seen in a while.
First of all, anonymous TV Chiron guy, obnoxious. What have you done with your life in the NBA? Anonymous TV Chiron guy.
This could be very personal for the Chiron guy. We don't know.
Cleveland's always been bitter, though. Cleveland's always been bitter. So good for you, Kuz.
It's cold out there.
Okay, so there was a sign in the arena that night where he hit the threes at the end of the game, where somebody said you won an NBA championship thanks to LeBron. Right. So now he claps back. He waited a few days too. It wasn't right away. That's why it's such a good clapback.
The Wizards are putting some teams on notice. It is very impressive. But do they have an MVP of the weekend? A lot of players, they had big performances. We saw DeRozan, we saw Durant. But who was your MVP of the weekend, Ramona?
I'm going to go with Steph Curry. We just...
Always a goodie.
Look, passes Ray Allen for all time on the three-pointers list. Now, I know this is combined playoffs and regular season, but he passed Ray Allen already. Okay? Right. How many is he going to make in his career? This record is going to be out of sight, Wilt Chamberlain level. No one's ever going to come close because he's got a lot more years and a lot more threes left to make.
Completely agree. Since you went there, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant. You know, there's been a lot of made about the foul calls and the ball change, and guys have kind of slowly but surely coming into the rhythm. KD has been doing KD things since the tip. Shooting percentage off the charts, ability to just continue to score no matter what's going on. He's been able to keep this team afloat while James Harden gets his footing. So I'm going with KD.
All right, Zach.
Anyone remember who won MVP last year? Anyone remember?
That guy.
That dude, I think
some
he's
big guy
in that his
entire starting lineup is injured. His entire starting five is injured, basically. All he's doing is 25, 14, and 6 on 60% shooting and leading the NBA in basically every advanced stat there is over the weekend. On Friday, had a triple-double. Yesterday, just a whole hum, 28, 9, and 9.
Easy, like 9 quarters.
Every game, this dude is carrying the Nuggets, who are 9-4. 9-4, despite Porter, Barton missed games yesterday. Jamal Murray's out for a long time. He just keeps on trucking.
They keep on rolling. Well, you know I love talking about the highs, but we can't talk about the highs without looking at the lows. So, Zach, who's going to need to step it up?
I'm looking at the Knicks, who have fallen to 7-6 after sort of that bing-bong hot start. Their defense is 25th in the league. Now, some of that might be some unlucky opponents. Like Pat Connaughton hit like 1,000,000 threes in the Garden last week. And their starting five is -18 or something like that, or -15 per 100 possessions, just not working. Julius Randle, they surrounded Julius Randle with all this playmaking, Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, and it's still just a lot of Julius Randle holding the ball and settling for long step-back jumpers. They just got to snap into play. Their bench is like plus a gazillion. The starters got to figure it out. The defense got to figure it out because the East is no joke. They're just getting in the top 6 or the top 8 in the East is going to be hard.
But isn't it nice that we're talking about the Knicks as a team like we have those expectations for? Like, step it up because we believe you can, because Zach believes that you can.
I think they should be solid.
There you go.
I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz. They got off to a really hot start, lost 4 of 5, though, now. And this is just not a team. Look, I know they got Miami yesterday, and Miami had a tough run here in the West Coast. Duncan Robinson started making threes. Everybody was going to get going for the Heat. But the Jazz is a team that started with really high expectations. They were in everybody's top 5 and have now had a little skid here.
And we get to see if they're in the top 5 later. But, Matt?
I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a young team, but this is supposed to be the year that John Morant steps up and becomes an all-star for the first time. As Zach mentioned, the East is tough. The West is obviously tough. So I would like to see this team stay more consistent. They lost 3 games in a row. They happened to lose to, an undermanned Pelicans team their last game. So I really want to see if this young team can take that step from being young to being ready.
Being young to being ready. I like that.
That was an important win for the Pelicans, though.
Yes.
Yeah, they needed it. We are just getting started here on NBA Today. And coming up, it's been 13 days since we've seen LeBron on the court. When are we going to see him again? And Kevin Durant said he's dealing with a shoulder soreness. Will it impact him playing against the Warriors on Tuesday night? Plus, it's the best of the best. It's the top of the top from the weekend. Will Chris Paul's nutmeg make the cut? It was filthy. More NBA Today.
Looking for 8 in a row. The Bulls trying to get back on track after a loss a couple nights ago in San Francisco.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wild, Wild West.
For the lead, George puts it up off the window. It's good! Are you kidding me?
Zach, come on.
Oh, stop it. No!
Stop it. Stop it.
And the Clippers' winning streak is officially over.
The Compton native and former UCLA player got it done yesterday. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine combined for 64 points on 53% shooting, while the rest of the team chipped in 36. This ties their most combined points as teammates. They also scored 64 earlier this month at Philly. Here was DeRozan after the game talking about playing in LA for the first time since his father, Frank, died in February.
This is my first time. I haven't told nobody. This is my first time coming home and play since my dad passed. And he was at every game. He didn't miss no game. So, tonight was kind of one of those games that, I wish he was here, but for the most part, I try to enjoy it with my teammates, understand you come back home playing in front of family and friends, you got to enjoy it.
ESPN Midwest reporter Jamal Collier joins me now, and you're in Los Angeles for the Bulls back-to-back here. And DeMar has been spectacular in his first season with the Bulls, and some folks question his fit early on. We've seen him on the court, but what has his role been in the locker room?
He's such a steady player, and that's the thing that with the Bulls. I mean, he's just, what you're getting from him every day. Even keel. It's been through the wars of a season, been through wars of the playoffs, and I think that was what stood out to me in that game last night. You just saw him really demonstrative on the court and really sort of soaking in some of those big baskets late, and I think that that was just very telling. And I think that is a helpful for Zach, a guy who has had so much on him and so much on his plate all the time to kind of carry this Bulls offense in the past few years. To have another guy to be able to sort of share the load with, Zach has not been on. So DeMar's just been huge for this team in a lot of different ways, and he's been through it. So even this hot start, he's very much just like, all right, guys, calm down. It's only been a few games so far. Yeah.
And that impact is very much needed, especially because the Bulls, like so many other teams, are dealing with injuries. They're dealing with illness. Nikola Vucevic is out with COVID. Yep. Kobe White had shoulder surgery before the season. But what's the latest on both players?
Yeah, and even you mentioned Patrick Williams as well, who is
right.
maybe lost for the season with a wrist injury. Vooch is feeling some symptoms. Remember, the Bulls played Philly twice, and they've got a bunch of players with COVID. Vooch was guarding Embiid directly. So he's probably not going to be a part of this road trip for them. He'll probably, hopefully, join him back in Chicago once he starts feeling better. But Kobe White, it's good news for the Bulls, is going to be back for this game against the Lakers tonight. The Bulls are, I think, bottom 3 in bench scoring right now, so they really need a jolt there, somebody who can come off the bench and just be a spark and just a microwave option for them. So I think that's going to be a huge benefit for them, but they've managed to stay afloat here despite some of these injuries and guys in and out of the lineup so far.
So how are they going to stay afloat? How are they going to manage this back-to-back, having played the Clippers and now playing the Lakers tonight, Jamal?
I was impressed the way they bounced back after getting beat by Golden State as badly as they did. They're going to struggle without Vooch. They have a passing big man who can score and do so many different things in the middle of the floor, and now all of a sudden teams are just going to load up on DeMar and Zach, and they're going to set an extra guy in double team. And I think I'm kind of curious to see exactly how they continue to adjust without Vooch in the middle of the floor. And I think that they've done well. They put Caruso in the starting lineup. They've played smaller and done some different things. I think it's to their credit. We keep waiting for the Bulls to come back to earth, and they just keep on going.
And they keep on going, and they're getting Kobe White back tonight, so we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. It is great to have you in studio. Thank you so much for joining us, Jamal. So Chicago enters tonight's matchup with a 9-4 record that is tied for the franchise's second best 13-game start since Jordan left. This includes wins wins over the Nets, the Jazz, the Mavs. And tonight they face a Lakers squad that has had no trouble with Chicago in recent years. The Lakers have won 8 straight against the Bulls. That is the longest win streak by either team in series history. But guess who also is back again in Staples Center against the Lakers. Tonight marks the return of Alex Caruso. It is his first game since he was with that team playing here. Caruso was a defensive stalwart for the Lakers the last 4 seasons, winning a title in 2020. So heading back with my gang over here, back with Matt, Zach, Ramona. Ramona, it has been 13 days since LeBron last played. It's kind of hard to believe that it's been that long. The last time we saw him on the court, he went for 30 and 10. They beat the Rockets. 2 days later, he was ruled out with an abdominal strain. Hasn't played since. So what's the latest on his status?
So LeBron's getting closer, and I'm told the hope is that he is able to play in one of the games this week. Maybe a little later in the week, maybe earlier, depending on how he's feeling. But he's getting closer, and that's really important for the Lakers because obviously 4-4 without LeBron. But a lot of those games have been against lottery teams, so they really need him back out there.
And they're, I'm sure, looking forward to having him. What have you seen from the Lakers without LeBron James?
Well, I'm very excited that Talen Horton-Tucker is back because it's been undersold, I think, that the Lakers have been without so many of Kendrick Nunn, Wayne Ellington for a while, Trevor Ariza still, THT. These are going to be key parts of their team. So it's been interesting to see him come back, and he was shooting threes and handling the ball a lot. So that's big for them. And other than that, AD stepping up and just a whole lot of, for better or worse, a whole lot of Russell Westbrook.
A whole lot of Russell Westbrook. And the Lakers split over the weekend. They lost to the Timberwolves on Friday night. Anthony Davis called it embarrassing. And then they beat the Spurs. Davis was the star, 34 points, 15 boards. So one word, Matt, what describes the Lakers now?
Marathon. The fans have to understand this is going to be a slow burn. This team, you know, barely had anyone at the start of the season. Excuse me, in the summertime, they had to add a bunch of different pieces. And normally when a star sits out, it's good for other players to kind of find their footing. But in this case, it's different because LeBron does so much. So you're going to see a different Russell Westbrook and AD when LeBron is in, contrary to him being out. And I think what this team needs is just more time with LeBron because, you know, when it matters in the playoff time, LeBron's going to be on the floor. So these guys have to figure out how to play with this caliber of superstar.
The marathon continues. Zach, your one word?
Murky. Like, what is this team? What is Russell Westbrook doing when LeBron is back and LeBron is the #1 option and LeBron has the ball all the time? Right. Are they starting Anthony Davis at center? Are they leaning all the way there? Are we going to see DJ back and Dwight back? What exactly is the identity of this team on both sides of the ball? I just feel like we're, 13, 14 games in?
Yep.
We don't really know yet. And I think, to Matt's point, when are we going to really have a feel for who's going to be even in the rotation? Is Kendrick Nunn going to come seize a role? THT, is he going to start? How big roles? It's all a mystery.
It's a murky marathon. Murky. Ramona, are we adding to the M's?
M, come on, M.
I guess
Meandering,
meandering. I was going to say evolving.
Okay,
but I can go with an M word.
Evolving marathon.
Yeah,
okay. Evolving murky marathon.
Look, we haven't seen their perimeter identity at all this year because LeBron's been out for the 8 games. They're 4-4 without him. Every couple of games, Frank Vogel tries a new starting lineup. The other day, he just tossed in Talen Horton-Tucker. Hadn't played all season, tossed him into the starting lineup. Kent Bazemore, DNP for the first time all season.
Carmelo
in. I mean, they're just trying stuff out. They're evolving as the season is going on. And then when LeBron comes back, it'll all be different again, too.
And we're going to have to figure it out once more.
I mean, I think we're going to see the best Laker identity post All-Star break. Like I said, this is an older team, and we live in LA, and we want to see everything happen now, and there's so much potential in the championship, but it's going to take some time, and this team has to pace themselves. You know, Carmelo's older, Bron's older. You know, some of these guys are getting acclimated. AD's up and down with the injury. I think post All-Star break is when this team will start hitting its stride, and we'll be like, okay, that's the team that was favored to win the West.
Okay. I buy that.
I could have gone with meandering and then just stuck with M's. That would have been good.
Meandering marathon continues. Meandering.
Yeah, murky.
Meandering murky marathon. All right, well, we'll see who's going to come out on top. But before last night, this was the last time Kevin Durant and James Harden have played together as teammates in Oklahoma City. After the breakup, we show you how the latest trip to OKC turned out for the Nets stars. It's hard to believe it's been that long. Right. The first game they have played in OKC as teammates since Game 2 of the 2012 Finals. There they are. So let me flash it back to the last time they were there. It was June 14th, 2012. A young Durant taking on LeBron James in the Miami Heat. James Harden, he had 21 points off the bench. Durant scored a team-high 32. It wasn't quite enough. The Thunder lost that game, but it's fun to look back at like a light beard there.
Yeah.
Also, they were booed during starting lineups.
You need to stop that.
Kevin Durant still thinks fondly back on his time in OKC.
When James got traded, I didn't know what the future would hold, and for us to come back around, on the same team as we got older is pretty sweet. And we helped build this thing. So it's good to come in here and see what it is today.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? So let's go to the game. It's fourth quarter. Nets are up by 16. James Harden, he drives to the hoop, finishes this tough shot. Strong move from Harden. He finished with 16 points and 13 assists. Started to find his groove a little bit here. So it's a 10-point game under 6 minutes left. Durant, look at this. He comes off one leg. I mean, that's just light work for Kevin Durant. He had a game-high 33 points, and the Nets won it 120-96. So with more from the Nets, let's welcome in ESPN reporter Om Young-Misuk. Thanks for joining us, Om. So Durant scored 33 in a win over the Thunder on Sunday night, but after the game, he spoke, and he mentioned that he's feeling a little bit of soreness here and there, is what he said, in his right shoulder, and will continue to receive treatment. So have you heard any updates about his shoulder, Om?
Malika, the Nets are off today, but I would expect Durant to get treatment, as he says he's been getting daily. This is something to keep an eye on. You can't tell that it's really affected him because he scored, I think, 30 points in 7 of his games. He is off to a start in which in all 14 of his games, he has scored 20 or more points. That's the second longest streak for a player 33 or older, other behind Karl Malone. So, this is the first time I noticed this shoulder injury was in the fourth quarter against Orlando. Kevin Durant was sitting on the bench and he had his shoulder wrapped. And I thought that was interesting because they didn't need him in that game. It was a blowout, but yet he had it on there. And so anytime a superstar like that has his shoulder wrapped, it's always kind of a concern. You're watching that. There were times last night where he kind of like was touching his shoulder, massaging it a little bit. He says it didn't get in the way all that much, but yet something to watch. Steve Nash says, look, he called it a tweak. He says he doesn't think that it's something that's going to get worse. But still, this is a guy who is playing like the MVP, and you're going to have to keep an eye on this.
He is so imperative to this Nets team, and it's kind of hard to believe, knowing how competitive Kevin Durant is, that he would want to miss a game against the Warriors. And looking ahead to Tuesday, the Nets are returning home. They host the Warriors after going 5-1 on their 6-game road trip. Is this just another game for the Nets, or just facing the best team in the league right now, does it mean a little bit more for Brooklyn?
Durant says this is just another game. It's only 15 games in the season for the Nets. But look, he also said that he understands the Warriors are playing like the best team in the league. James Harden knows how well Steph Curry is. He's an MVP candidate right now. The Nets are playing great basketball, but they're not playing their best basketball. They won 8 of their last 9, but at times they kind of look bored playing against inferior opponents. This is a test for them, possibly their biggest test since facing Milwaukee in the season opener, where they're playing a team that is on their level. And I think they will have the Warriors will have the Nets' full attention at Barclays Center.
I know Kevin Durant said that he doesn't necessarily see this as a finals preview. Like you said, we're only a handful of games into the season, but it's going to be fun. Enjoy it. Thank you so much, and we will definitely be seeing you soon. All right, so everybody, I think it's time we introduce Matt. Let's do the top of the top. Let's take it to the big screen and do the best plays from around the weekend. So what we do here is we just take a look at what stood out. What's at the top? What's the tippy top? The best. And we'll see at the end which one you like. So
she throws the alley-oop, you dunk it.
Exactly.
Oh,
can you do that?
Can I stretch?
All right, yeah, there you go. Get nice and warm. All right, first up, we got the top no look. We got 2 contenders. First, it's Steph Curry.
Incredible.
He saw him, though. He does have eyes in the back.
But like, what is, this was a debate over the weekend. Spencer Dinwiddie was talking about this. What is a no look? You have to see them at some point during a no look, right? Otherwise, you're just throwing it out left, right, and center.
He saw him right there. You can see it out of the corner of his eye.
Sometimes you just sense them. Sometimes you just sense them.
That's like, I sent you guys over there and I just throw it up. All right, Marcus Smart. Oh! Okay, that might have been a true no look. What do you think, Matt?
This is beautiful. I mean, as good as Steph's pass was, I think this one was a little bit better.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, all right, I stand corrected. All right, top nutmeg. There is no nutmeg that can top this nutmeg because Chris Paul's nutmeg was the best tippy top nutmeg. What?
Oh, no.
I mean,
doing it to the rookie.
Come on, you got to welcome him to the league. Throw him in the fire. The best way to do it is throw him in the fire.
Look, letting Chris Paul, who's number 5 all time in steals, he had 7 steals last night, play against the most turnover-prone team in the league. It was like a crime. It shouldn't be allowed.
Oh my God!
And that's not nice. That's garbage time.
There was no contest after that either.
It was just.
I love it.
I felt
Throw
that.
him in the fire.
I felt that. All right, best block. Let's take a look. There's 2 picks here. Kyle Kuzma.
Kuz!
He can get up a little bit.
Yes.
This team is playing well.
I'm happy for Kuz. He took a lot of heat being on the Lakers. He's starting to show his full capabilities now, and team's playing well.
Committed to defense.
Don't even try Evan Mobley. Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
Team all length right there.
This kid's special, man. Special. We got a chance to see him at USC a lot before he jumped into the league, but he's definitely living up to the hype.
Cleveland is doing some things, too, taking some numbers, and it's been impressive. Evan Mobley is not to be messed around with. All right, top windmill. Matt Dorrance, get to the hoop right now. No, just kidding. All right, let's take a look. We had 2 in the same game, by the way. Look at this.
Almost back-to-back in the game.
Very impressive. Ugh.
That is filthy. Almost
a windmill
rude.
pass and a windmill dunk.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, his dad is Dunker's delight, so he had to, you know, be able to say, hey, Pops, I can do it too. Anything you can do, I got. Pretty good. All right, let's take a look at the next one, though, because couldn't be outdone. Bridges.
Oh,
he's my favorite dunker in the game right now. He's got a lot of Blake Griffin in him when it comes to just pure.
Yeah.
This was
power.
This was a great game, and then suddenly the dunk contest broke out in crunch time of the game. It was unbelievable.
I think we should just play this at All-Star, and we can judge. We can judge that. So, what do you think? Top of the top? We keeping it around? All right. Well, Matt's one of our tippy tops of the top. So, on Wednesday night, doubleheader features the last 2 NBA champs. Will start in Milwaukee at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, with Giannis and the Bucks hosting the Lakers. And then it's a matchup of 2 of the Western Conference's top teams. Luka Doncic and the Mavs takes on the Suns, who have won 8 straight games. Our coverage starts with NBA Countdown at 7 o'clock East night. So what better a time to look back at both players' top plays from this season?
Oh, a double clutch in-seat boom! Steph Curry! How many guys shoot 1-foot runners from 25 feet? He's just doing what Steph does. LaMelo. Wow! A dipsy dip! Oh, man. There's your pass of the night. LaMelo zips a pass to PJ. Just played him like a piano. Curry for 3. Yes, sir! Oh, LaMelo! Goodness. Don't do it like that, you fella.
Killer. But you know who was named Western Conference Player of the Week?
Surprise, surprise.
It was that man right there. It was Stephen Curry. He has been showing out, keeping the Warriors really above where a lot of people, except for Zach Lowe, who's been preaching them all season long, thought they were going to be. And then in the Eastern Conference, it is a former teammate of his. It is Kevin Durant, who has been on fire lately for the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden's been finding his stride too, and those two are going to face off on Tuesday.
It's almost like they're teeing up this game.
Almost like
Something
that.
like it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the game though. Like, it wasn't this that made me say, oh, I'm going to tune into this game. Well, let's see if they also make an appearance in ESPN.com's Power Rankings. They are now live with the Warriors, the Nets, and the Suns leading the way, followed by the Wizards and the Nuggets in the top 5, along with the Bulls. These teams all boast a top 6 record in the NBA this season. There they are. Now we see them. Warriors get the top spot in power rankings for the first time since 2019, which is kind of weird that it's been that long, but also when you think back to how they were last season. So speaking of the Warriors, Draymond Green will join the Manning cast in the third quarter of tonight's Rams 49ers game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Some heat.
I feel like that's a good fit.
Yeah.
I'm going to be tuning into that. That's
no more current NFL players. It's like a little jinx. It's like nobody goes on there anymore.
Okay,
seriously.
Let's see if that plays out. But I want to power rank here. I appreciate ESPN.com's power rankings, but I want to see what my fine folks here got. So, Zach, I want to start with you. Who is your top 5 in power rankings?
Well, the top 3 are a no-brainer. It's exactly what they were on that graphic there. Warriors, Nets, Suns. You got to respect the Suns. They've won 8 in a row. They're killing it. I went Nuggets, Heat. Look, I'm a pedigree guy. I consider what you did last season, what your track record is. So apologies to the Wiz, who really should be on it, to the Bulls, to the Cavs. I'm sorry. The pedigree is what it is. I need to see a little more before I put you here. The Jazz, you've lost 4 out of 5. The Clips, you're 8-5. And the Jazz, by the way, the Heat whitewashed them in Utah. So those are my top 5. But it's really the top 3. And then I think there's a little bit of a gap.
There's a discussion to be had. Ramona, is there any crossover in your power rankings?
Yeah, I think we have the same top 4, right?
Top 4.
Top 4. Waiting for them to put mine up.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's the Warriors,
Okay,
Nets, and
same top
Suns.
three.
Okay, but then I went with the Wizards because I want to respect the top team in the Eastern Conference, and I gave a little nod to the Clippers. I know they lost against the Bulls last night, but that was their third game in 4 nights. They've been doing great, and I think there's a respect for how they have played in the last 7 games. That win streak just ended last night.
Okay, I can see that. I have a question for you, but I want to see Matt's power rankings first.
Similar top 3, and I really went back and forth with 4 and 5. They flopped positions on the way to the car on the way to the studio today. So my 4th is Chicago and 5th is the Wizards.
Okay.
The Wizards top in the East. I just really like the Bulls and what they're coming into, and we know they're not fully healthy yet, so they're definitely a team to be reckoned with, I think. And then the top 3 speak for themselves.
So for the Warriors, for you, they get your top billing. Do you think that when you reflect back on the We Believe, do you feel like you have a part of this? Like you set the foundation for what we're seeing now?
Well, I definitely think Nelly brought that small ball mentality, undersized power forwards and centers that are more playmakers and shooters, and they took it to another level. I got a chance to go back in 17 and just kind of be a fly on the wall to the greatness they developed and built there, and it's just beautiful to see because, they hit rock bottom and everyone really appreciated stepping on them while they could, but now this team's on the way back up with a lot of also trade assets that people aren't realizing. A lot of these young players are really starting to show their worth, and when they get fully healthy, they may have some willing and nilly to do at the deadline.
Do you feel like you know them though, Zach? Like the Warriors team, we talk about the Lakers, for example. Obviously, they've had a whole bunch of different injuries, young guys that weren't able to play when they potentially wanted them to early on in the season to get that sort of gelling. With the Warriors, they've had, James Wiseman, where's he going to fit? These types of small, Klay Thompson, how's he going to come back? Do you feel the same, what was your word, murkiness about the Warriors?
Opposite of whatever the opposite of clarity. I don't know.
Clear.
I'll tell you though, Kuminga's given them good minutes off the bench lately. That's interesting. Yeah. But my whole thing about being bullish on the Warriors was they just know their identity. They have a style of play. I was talking to someone on a team that recently played them. In the regular season, they're so different from every other team that you coming off a back-to-back, like you're just not prepared for the way they play, for Steph running around and all that stuff. In a playoff series, you have a little time to warm up and adjust them, but in the regular season, they're really hard to play against. They have a bunch of guys who fit that style, who know how to play it. That's really powerful.
And I'd say one good point that is really used to be a staple back in the day, their core stayed together. Bringing Andre Iguodala back was important to just the morality and the energy of their team, but it's rare that the core stays together these days with all the stars that are normally on the move. Although Klay has been hurt, their core pieces have stayed together, and that's why as soon as they get the right pieces, they keep picking up where they left off.
Let's file this under good problems to have. They've almost gotten back too fast. Because this year, in some ways, should be a year for James Wiseman to play a lot, for Kuminga and Moody to play a lot. I don't know that they can crack the rotation now.
Nope. This is called the year where you have one of the greatest players of all time at age 33. You're trying to win the championship. If James Wiseman can't help, James Wiseman won't play. If he can help a little bit for 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes with the second unit, he'll play. And if he can't, he won't. That's it. Easy.
I'll tell you who's going to have a really good team. Santa Cruz Warriors. So those guys are going to be playing a lot.
They're going to be balling out. I do want to raise just a brief glass. Can we raise a glass to the Wizards? They made an appearance. They were universally like, all right, this is a team that we're going to put on here. What do you think, Ramona? I'm curious why they made that top billing. And then the Bulls, like, where did they go? What happened?
Well, look, the Wizards are on there because they have a lot of depth. And this is not just the Bradley Beal show anymore. This is a fully fledged team with a lot of depth. And that's kind of what they traded for. They traded Russell Westbrook for a bunch of really good players who'd won a championship with the Lakers. Then they went out and got Spencer Dinwiddie. I really love what they've done in building a complete team. So they're the top team in the East, and you got to give them their respect. In terms of the Bulls, like, I just think that backcourt, Alonzo and Caruso, defensively is so good. And it covers up a lot of what they were trying to hide last year in the way that they had to use Zach, and now you have DeRozan out there. But you don't have, like, Zach LaVine and DeRozan are not necessarily defensive stalwarts, but when you have Caruso and Lonzo, you don't have to worry about that.
Right, and Bradley Beal is going to be out against the Pelicans for personal reasons, but there is going to be another big game. There's a big night in Dallas that is happening tonight. The reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, is in Texas tonight to take on Luka and the Mavs. Who has the edge? It's weird to say